Welcome to Whispering Pages, your cozy corner for fantasy book lovers. Today we're settling one of the biggest questions in the world of Sarah J. Maas fans. Should you start with Throne of Glass or A Court of Thorns and Roses? Both are beloved fantasy series. Both offer magic, action, romance, and unforgettable characters. And both can absolutely consume your life once you get into them. But they're very different reading experiences. Whether you're new to Maas or just wondering which world to explore next, this is your full guide. No spoilers, just honest advice. Let's get into it. First, what are these books actually about? Throne of Glass is Sarah J. Maas's first series. It introduces us to Selena Sardothian, a world-famous teenage assassin imprisoned in a brutal labor camp. She's given a second chance by entering a deadly competition to become the king's champion. At first, it feels like a dark fantasy version of the Hunger Games, with palace intrigue thrown in. But by book 3, the story explodes into something massive, full of ancient magic, hidden legacies, and empire-spanning war. It starts small and becomes truly epic. There are 8 books total, including the prequel novella collection, The Assassin's Blade. Now let's look at A Court of Thorns and Roses, or ACOTAR. This one starts with Feyre, a mortal girl who kills a wolf in the woods, only to find out it was actually a fae. She's taken to the Spring Court as punishment by Tamlin, a mysterious fae lord. At first, the story feels like a fairy tale retelling, but after book 1, it shifts into something much darker and more emotionally complex. ACOTAR explores trauma, healing, steamy romance, and fae court politics. There are 5 books so far, and more are coming. It begins in a small cottage and ends with conflicts that could shake the realms themselves. Now let's talk tone and genre. This is often the biggest deciding factor for new readers. Throne of Glass begins as young adult fantasy. The early books are fast-paced and heavy on action. Magic builds slowly, layer by layer. There's romance, but it's not the center of the story, at least not at first. Over time, the series transforms into epic high fantasy, with political drama, ancient prophecies, massive battles, and gods. You'll go from palace chambers to battlefields, from secret identities to world-ending threats. ACOTAR, on the other hand, leans hard into romantasy, that addictive mix of fantasy world-building and deep emotional romance. Book 1 has a simple plot. But book 2, A Court of Mist and Fury, changes everything. You'll get themes of trauma, recovery, toxic relationships, healing, and empowerment, all woven into one of the most passionate romances in modern fantasy. The magic builds the mood, but the feelings carry the weight. So if you want plot-heavy fantasy with explosive twists, Throne of Glass. If you crave emotional journeys, healing arcs, and fae court tension, go ACOTAR. Let's talk about characters because they're the heart of both series. In Throne of Glass, we start with Selena Sardothian, a cocky, stylish, deadly assassin who hides deep emotional scars. Her arc spans grief, trauma, legacy, and transformation. She isn't perfect, but she's captivating. Over time, the series brings in an entire cast of unforgettable characters: Chaol, Dorian, Rowan, Manon, Elide, each with their own complex motivations, arcs, and moments to shine. By the later books, you're following multiple perspectives, but it never feels overwhelming. You grow with these characters as they battle their pasts and the fate of their world. Now let's look at ACOTAR. Here, Feyre is our lens into the world. She starts out as a struggling mortal trying to feed her family, but her growth is incredible. from survivor to warrior, from broken to bold. Fair's emotional arc is tied closely to the people around her, especially Rhysand, her eventual love interest, and the found family of the Night Court. Rhys, Cassian, Azriel, Amren, Mor, this is the inner circle, and fans adore their loyalty, banter, and emotional depth. Nesta, Fair's sister, adds even more fire and friction in later books. So, what's the difference? Throne of Glass is an ensemble epic. ACOTAR is an emotional character deep dive. Now, let's explore the worlds themselves. Throne of Glass is set in Aralea, a continent of empires, fey kingdoms, magical forests, and brutal history. The world starts small but expands dramatically. Each new book uncovers more secrets, more lands, and more ancient powers. It's perfect for readers who love maps, politics, and slow reveal fantasy lore. By the time you reach Empire of Storms, you're neck deep in alliances, betrayals, magical systems, and war strategies. ACOTAR takes place in Prythian, a continent ruled by magical courts. There's the lush beauty of the Spring Court, the cold elegance of the Winter Court, and the breathtaking city of stars in the Night Court. Each location feels alive, with its own color palette, magic, and emotional energy. Prythian is smaller in scale, but richer in atmosphere. Every court reflects a different tone, a different kind of power. If you love aesthetics, moods, and glowing tattoos, ACOTAR delivers. If you want sprawling kingdoms and ancient histories, Throne of Glass wins. Let's talk romance. In Throne of Glass, romance is a subplot. Important, yes, but not the main event. Selena goes through several relationships, and each reflects a stage of her personal growth. Some will break your heart, others will surprise you, and one will feel absolutely right. The chemistry builds slowly, and the final pairing is one of the most powerful slow burns in fantasy. But if you're looking for steamy scenes and emotional intensity, that's where ACOTAR shines. Romance is central to the story, especially from book 2 onward. You get passion, tension, vulnerability, and yes, very spicy scenes. But they're not just physical. They're about healing, boundaries, and power dynamics. Fair's love story isn't perfect, but it feels real. So if you want romance with swords, Throne of Glass. If you want swords with romance, ACOTAR. Now let's talk about reading experience. Throne of Glass can feel like a slow burn, especially in the early books. Many readers agree, book 1 is solid, book 2 is better. But book 3, Heir of Fire, is where the magic truly begins. That's when the series shifts from young adult to epic fantasy. That's when the world and stakes explode. There's also The Assassin's Blade, the prequel collection. You can read it before or after book 1. Both work. ACOTAR grabs your attention fast, but the real shift happens in book 2. If you only read book 1, you might think, that was okay. But book 2, A Court of Mist and Fury, is where it becomes a phenomenon. It redefines the relationships, the tone, and the direction of the story. Also, a quick note, Sarah J. Maas has confirmed all her series are part of a shared multiverse. So ACOTAR, Tog, and Crescent City are connected. Yes, you might end up reading them all. So, which should you choose? Here's the simple version. Choose Throne of Glass if you want. Epic fantasy, slow burn, political intrigue, multi-character arcs, a massive payoff by the end. Choose ACOTAR if you want. Emotional healing, passionate romance, magical court aesthetics, found family, and just a little bit of spice. Both are brilliant, Both will wreck you in the best way. It's not about which is better. It's about what kind of story your heart is ready for right now. Thanks for joining me on Whispering Pages. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Which series did you start with, and which one stole your heart? Until next time, keep your bookmarks close and your emotions closer.